Today, I'd like to introduce Monica and Tina. They are both labor and delivery nurses, and today they will give us their presentation on sudden infant death syndrome, otherwise known as SIDS. I'd like to welcome Tina and Monica.
Hello, my name is Tina Ramnarine, and I am a nurse at Altman Hospital. I've primarily worked with children, starting my career in pediatrics and then the neonatal ICU for many years. And now I work in the Altman Birth Center. I have a passion for safe sleep because I have been witness to and experienced the death of a child due to unsafe sleeping. About 5 years ago, I was on the Code Pink team, and we were informed that there was a code coming in, that there was a baby found by a parent who was co-sleeping with them unresponsive. Squad was called, brought to the ER, and the Code Pink team did everything possible to resuscitate this infant. And unfortunately, this baby died. From there forward, I have had this in me to try to promote safe sleep. And we will talk about a tool that is used as well to help promote safe sleep. But according to the American Academy of Pediatrics, the Ohio Department of Health, it is important for all babies at all time to follow the ABCs of sleep, which are to sleep alone, to sleep on their back, and to sleep in a crib. And now I'm going to have my colleague, Monica, here.
Hi, I'm Monica Coventry, and I spent most of my career in the neonatal intensive care unit, and then I've been over here in the birth center for the last several years. And I too have a very big passion for safe sleep. And I just wanted to share one of the committees that I'm on in Stark County. So it's called Fetal Infant Mortality Review, FEMUR. And we look at the deaths in Stark County. It's a wide group of people, physicians, Ohio Department of Health, so different healthcare workers. And we review the deaths of babies between born, that have died at birth up to 1 year. And one of the things we've been seeing in the last year or two is that more babies are dying from unsafe sleep environments, meaning maybe someone fell asleep with the baby on the couch, or they were in a fluffy blanket, things that could have been prevented. So again, we're trying to decrease this because we don't want any babies to die. And no one thinks it's going to happen to them. And you know what? It happens to really good people. Okay, so what we're going to start with, I'm going to start with a video. Okay, so I'm going to share my screen. So it says a grandparent video. You know what? It's good for everyone. I want you to know, Tina and I, we're grandparent ages. Okay. And you know what? When we were young and we had our kids, they didn't have this information out. All of our babies slept on their bellies. We didn't know any better. And one thing you just have to remember is that you may learn all of this about safe sleep, but you want to make sure that anybody that takes care of your baby, you're going to need to give them a little education. The babysitter that comes in, you want to make sure she knows. You want to make sure that your parents know that they're on board. Or if you're a grandparent yourself, this is good info. So it's a little bit lengthy. It's 7 minutes, but I think it gives a lot of valuable information. So we're going to start with the video.
Now look what I just got.
Pretty fancy, Mom. Want me to show you how to use it?
Are you kidding? I got this thing all figured out. I even have your baby pictures on here already. Look how cute you were here sleeping with the blanket and animate.
Today we don't put blankets in the crib no matter how cute they are. And we have to lay the baby down to sleep on their back every time.
Today, don't be silly. A baby's got to stay warm. You don't want your baby to get cold. And I always put you on your tummy.
Mom, this is important. You've heard of SIDS, right?
Oh, yes. That's when a baby dies unexpectedly during sleep and doctors can't find an explanation.
Right. Sudden infant death syndrome. At our birthing classes, we learned there are a lot of different things we need to do to reduce the risk of SIDS and other sleep-related causes of infant death, such as accidental suffocation.
Now, for most of you, this is your first baby, and you might think that putting the baby to sleep in a crib is as easy as just sticking them in there. Remember this, safety starts with getting a safe crib, but there's a lot more to it. Before you put the baby in it, who knows what goes in a crib?
I know, a sheet,
A blanket?
soft bumpers.
A teddy bear?
One of you is right, and the rest are wrong. Over the past 20 years, researchers have learned a lot about safe infant sleep. Besides the baby, a fitted sheet in a safety-approved crib is the only thing you need. No loose bedding, no bumpers, no pillows, no teddy bears, and no blankets.
So how does the baby stay warm?
Good question. A one-piece sleeper like this or like this is all the baby needs at sleep time. What you dress the baby in should be appropriate for the room's temperature.
But my grandmother just crocheted us a baby blanket.
I'm sure it's beautiful. And you can use it to decorate your baby's room, just not inside or draped on the crib. And remember, it's been a long time since you were born, so your parents and grandparents may not know all the most recent safe sleep recommendations. Oh, look who it is, our special guest, baby Juliana. I see you already have her in a one-piece sleeper. Now, when she's tired and you've soothed her, you'll lower her down into the crib. The important thing is that your baby is always put down to sleep on his or her back. Around 4 to 6 months, babies start rolling over on their own, and that's fine. You don't need to turn the baby back over. Just remember to always put the baby down on his or her back at sleep time. And that goes all the way until the baby is 1 year old.
But what if she spits up or something? Couldn't she choke?
Actually, there's no evidence that babies are more likely to choke if placed on their backs for sleep. So you should feel confident that putting a baby to sleep on his or her back every sleep time is the safest thing to do.
Check it out. Margaret brought home this bassinet to keep in our bedroom. For the first couple of months, the baby will sleep right here in our room next to where we sleep.
Oh no, Jelly Bean. You're gonna want that baby sleeping right next to you in bed for those feedings through the night.
Actually, that's another thing we learned in our class. It's best to breastfeed. It reduces the risk of SIDS and, of course, has other health benefits too. But they also told us that if we bring the baby into bed to breastfeed, it's important to make sure to put the baby in a separate sleep area. A safety-approved crib, bassinet, or play yard right next to where we're sleeping to help with feeding through the night. Our instructor said that bed sharing actually increases baby's risk for SIDS, not to mention increasing the baby's chance of suffocating or being fatally injured. This could happen if one of us rolls on top of the baby, or if the pillows or bedding get on top of the baby, or if the baby gets trapped between the walls in the bed. Mom, listen. They told us that doing these things I'm talking about reduces the risk for SIDS and accidental suffocation. It's safer for my baby.
I don't know why things have to change all the time. According to you, I seem to have done everything wrong, but you and Richie still turned out fine.
Mom, you did a good job with us, and we did turn out fine. But you know, babies and families we don't even know died during sleep time. Since doctors have been telling people about the latest safe infant sleep practices, a lot fewer babies have died from SIDS, about half as many. And if making simple changes like not using a blanket or laying the baby on her back will keep your granddaughter safer, you'll want to do it, right?
You sure are developing a mother's instinct, honey. I know things change. I'll do it the new way because my new granddaughter is going to grow up to be an amazing woman, just like her mother. It's your father.
Hi, ladies.
Hey, Dad, I was just showing Mom the baby stuff.
Sorry to interrupt the tour, but I just found some great new info on safe sleep for infants.
That's great, Dad. Actually, Mom was just telling me about the latest safe infant sleep recommendations.
Here at the National Institutes of Health, we're always working to learn more about sudden infant death syndrome, or SIDS, and other sleep-related causes of infant death. Over the past 20 years, we've learned a lot, and health education has led to a 50% decrease in SIDS in the United States. But unfortunately, there are still babies dying. So it's very important for everyone to know how to make the infant's sleep environment safe to reduce the chance of infant sleep death, such as SIDS or accidental suffocation, from happening. That means telling grandmothers, friends, babysitters, anyone who's caring for an infant, and making sure they understand how important it is to follow safe sleep recommendations. We want to make sure that everyone knows that the baby should be placed on his or her back to sleep for every sleep time, including nap time. The baby should be placed on a firm sleep surface with nothing else in the sleep area. No toys or soft objects, no blankets or loose bedding, and no pillows. And that the baby should sleep in the same room with the parent, but not in the same bed. As a mother of 4, I know it can be a challenge to help the grandparents and other caregivers understand the importance of learning today's safe infant sleep practices and doing them every time. But taking the time to teach these things can make all the difference. For more information, please visit the Safe to Sleep website at safetosleep.nic.nih.gov.
Okay, so that video had a lot of good information. You know, this is a really great website that we're using, and I'll put it in the chat here in a little bit. But, you know, you were allowed to share it. They want this information out. You're allowed to use it on social media. They're actually promoting all this information. They want to get this information out. So there's all kinds of great, more info on here if you want to look at it at another time. But right now, I just wanted to go over just a few things. I just want to go over, and you know what, if you're on your phone, you can also maybe try to make that bigger so you can see it. But just the difference between SIDS and SUID. So SUID is sudden, unexpected infant death. SIDS is a form of SUID, okay? So there's lots of reasons. I won't read them to you, but you can see them listed, but just a few things like suffocation. Entrapment is when a baby like gets caught in the crook of a couch, or, you know, or like in a bed, between the bed and the wall. So when a baby dies in the home, the police will come out, okay? They'll do an investigation. So let's say it's a 2-month-old. They'll try to recreate the scene, all right? Because they want to try to figure out what happened. They'll also do an autopsy on the baby. So they'll do all these different things to try to come up with a reason. So if they figure out the reason, then it's a SUID and we have a reason. If they can't figure out the reason, then they call it SIDS, sudden infant death, but we don't know exactly why. Then also, I just wanted to show you this graph. Again, you might want to make it bigger if you're on your phone. But okay, this top line, so this back in like 1990, when they started these statistics, you can see that there was a high amount of SUIDs and SIDS, all right? So SIDS is where, you know, we're not really sure why the baby died. Sometimes we call that crib death or cot death. But as you can see, once we started learning about back to sleep, like around in here, you can see that, oh, I think we started around in here. You can see that we really, really did a great job of decreasing our rate of SIDS, okay? It really went down. But I do want to draw attention to the teal line, because that is accidental suffocation and entrapment. And unfortunately, that's going up. So right now we have more we're having a trend of babies dying from unsafe sleep environments. And so that's what we're trying to get the word out about. So now, okay, so next we're going to go, we have this little interactive room, and we're going to go over a few key points. Tina, maybe you can just come over just to make sure they can hear you. Okay. Of course. All right. So here's our little interactive room. There we go. Okay, we know that breastfeeding does help reduce the risk of SIDS, okay? It has great health benefits for mom and baby and reduces SIDS. So if you're able to breastfeed, that is what's best for your baby. But a lot of this stuff sounds like common sense. And so if you are a new parent or expecting or plan to have a baby soon, you have to keep in mind, I tell you what, it's really, really tiring. Okay. So you get really sleepy. You're very sleep deprived. This baby's getting up to eat every 2 to 3 hours when it first comes home. And so it's really, really easy to fall asleep during these feedings. So if you're going to nurse in your bed, you want to make sure that you remove all the bedding and soft items in case it happens. And I know that Tina had brought up a good idea. I'll mention it. You might want to set your
Oh,
you
yes.
can set your phone, okay, maybe for 15 minutes. So if you fall asleep, your alarm goes off and it will remind you to put the baby back to sleep.
So the recommendation is to share the room with the baby, but not share your bed. So keep baby in your room close by, but on a separate surface. Ideally, this is recommended for the first year of life, but for at least the first 6 months. So mom and dad have their bed, and then we have a little cribette there by the side.
Okay, so you can see this is a little pack and play next to the mom and dad's bed. You want to use a firm, flat sleep surface in a safety approved crib covered by a fitted sheet with no other bedding or soft items in the sleep area. And this is a really good website, the Consumer Product Safety Commission. They have more information on crib safety. For instance, maybe you got your crib in a garage sale, or you want to make sure that it meets the safety standards.
So we want to give our baby plenty of tummy time when they're awake and someone is watching them. So as you can see on this video, we have a blanket on the floor, parents would be in the room, and the baby would be placed on their tummy in order to help strengthen the neck and um, for the baby also to develop muscularly.
Pacifiers are a good thing. They've also been studied and shown to decrease the incidence of SIDS. So you want to think about giving the pacifier when they are going down for a nap or at bedtime. Now you want to wait until your breastfeeding is well established. It will be different for other people. Some may get it down right away. Others, it might take 3 to 4 weeks before you offer the pacifier. And then you just have to be careful about those that are on the market. Some of them have like this little stuffed animal attached to them, or they have strings and things. And you know what? You want to make sure that the baby can spit it out. You don't want them choking. So just a plain pacifier is best.
Also, to reduce the risk of SIDS, mom is not to smoke during her pregnancy and not to allow others to smoke around the baby or wherever the baby might happen to be. Mom is also to avoid tobacco, alcohol use, marijuana, or any other illegal drugs. I always think of this that when I was in college, there's studies that show commonalities, which we were talking about, that are related to SIDS. And one of them is that the baby lives with someone who smokes and they have secondhand smoke.
Again, I mean, it's really hard. You get a lot of cute items
Mhm.
at your baby shower, and people like to make these nice fluffy comforters. Now, here's an idea. They just decorated the room with it. Another idea is to use it for tummy time. But, you just don't want to have any loose bedding under the baby, over the baby, or in the baby's sleep area.
As I was talking about before, about commonalities that are related to SIDS, and overheated room happens to be one of them. So we do not want your baby to get too hot during sleep. Dressing them in a onesie and then in their wearable sleep blanket, which I have a demonstration today to show you a sleep sack, and that will keep the baby secured, keep them warm enough, keep them on their back. So they don't need loose blankets in their sleep area. And we just want to make sure that the temperature is comfortable for us. It's going to be comfortable for the baby, and we don't want to overheat their room.
And it's really common to get up with a baby and you want to sleep. You're feeding them in a recliner or on the couch. Maybe you're watching TV, and it's just really easy to fall asleep. But it is so dangerous. Seriously, this is the one. If you're doing this, set your phone alarm again, because when you're sleeping in this upright position, the baby they'll fall down on your chest. They could fall down into the crook of the couch and that type of thing. So you actually have there's actually a 50% higher chance that your baby will die of SIDS if you fall asleep on the couch or in a recliner.
And I remember a case when I was working in the NICU with one of the practitioners. Unfortunately, a grandparent was taking care of their grandchild, and they had one of those big puffy recliners, and grandparent fell asleep, and when she woke up, the baby was wedged down between the cushion of the recliner and the arm of the recliner. And again, this was a case where the baby died.
I know of a case where it was an older sibling that fell asleep with the baby. And, I just can't even, how heartbreaking. I can't even imagine how you would feel to be anyone. I don't care, a older sibling, the parent, the grandparent, if that death could have been prevented.
Another thing that helps to reduce the risks of SIDS is to follow the guidance from your pediatrician. You want to make sure that your baby's kept up with their regular checkups and also with their vaccines. And as we are living in this time, we know how important vaccines are, and they are so important for your baby.
So again, this is our ABCs. You want to always put your baby alone on their back and in a crib to reduce the risk of SIDS.
We want to avoid products that are positioners or that go against the recommendations of safe sleep, especially those that are monitors of some type that check the baby's heart rate or breathing. Those are not recommended, and they do not help reduce the risks of SIDS. So positioners, we just want to avoid those type of things.
Okay, so now Tina's going to do a demonstration of putting the baby back to sleep and also using all right, so give us a minute here. I'm gonna try. Let me know if you can't see her well. So I'm gonna try to tell me what.
And point it down. I think, can you guys see now? If anybody can let us know that they can see, I have my baby here, and he is dressed in just a t-shirt and
Okay,
has his diaper on.
Have someone on mute. Can they see it?
Yes, we can see.
Is
You
it
can
good?
see? Okay,
Yes.
Just build it differently.
we're good.
No, we can see the whole crib mattress and the baby.
Okay, thanks.
Okay, so I have my little one here. I have the cribette, which this is easily mobile. All I have is the firm mattress and a sheet on here. And then I I have the wearable sleep blanket. So this is called a sleep sack, and I'm going to go ahead and place our little one in here. As simple as it seems, but this is what we need to do every time. And having this type of crevette, it is easily taken down and put back up. If a grandparent or somebody else is going to be caring for the child, this is what we would want them to take to their home. So I'm going to wrap my little one up here in the sleep sack. Babies are naturally more comfortable with their hands up by their face, so this is perfect. I just position the little hands up there, and then I tightly go around with each side of the sleep sack, and it velcros. And there I have my little one safely ready to go to sleep.
And just to mention, like when you have a baby in the hospital, they should be asking, do you have a safe place for your baby to sleep? And if you don't, I know here, like in Stark County, so I can't say for all other states, but I know here we are giving out for those people who don't have one, we'll give them a pack and play. And we've added something new because we've noted that there's been more problems with unsafe sleep environments. We'll also ask, does the baby have a safe sleep after discharge in somebody else, like whoever's going to be caring for the baby? So like, let's say the grandparents are going to be the main caretakers. If you don't have a pack and play, if you don't have some type of portable device to take to grandma's, then we will get one for grandma or for whoever that babysitter is going to be. Because we found, like I said, on those FEMA meetings, it's really sad. People have things in their home, but you'll find, I don't know, for whatever reason, they're staying at like a friend's house, some emergency, they're staying at a friend's house, and then the baby was placed on the floor and they felt, oh, let's use these fluffy comforters, and then the baby died. So anyway.
And I just want to add that doing research on this topic is out of the states in the United States, Ohio is in the top 10. And then unfortunately, out of the 83 counties, Stark County is third for high rates of SIDS, which is unfortunate. So that is why Monica and I are really feel passionate and really trying to educate our community on safe sleep and what we can do to help our babies.
Yes, and it is a problem across the United States. We just know Ohio is one of the worst, but this is happening everywhere. All right, I have one more thing. I'm going to share my screen that I want to show you. Okay, so this is a picture. This is baby's anatomy when on the stomach and on the back. And I had the hardest time as a nurse, really honestly, getting this concept down when it first came out. I used to think, you know what? Wow, what if the baby spits up and they're on their back? Aren't they going to choke, and aren't they going to get that in their lungs and maybe get pneumonia or something like that? Well, I think this diagram really makes you understand. So here you can see the baby's on their back. So the trachea, that's the tube that goes to the lungs, and then that's on top. And then the esophagus, which goes to the stomach, is on the bottom. So let's say this baby spit up right now. Well, gravity's going to make it so that the food is most likely going to go back to the stomach and it won't go into the lungs. But now if the baby's on their stomach, it's the opposite, right? We have the trachea now is closer to the bottom, and the esophagus is on top. So if this baby would spit up, there's more chance that the formula is going to, or breast milk is going to go into the lungs. So you can see that it is definitely safer to be on your back, even if the baby's a spitter. And then I used to think, well, how about the sideline position? Now that seems like the safest. And actually, that's not true. So studies have shown that if you put them on their side, they're still twice as likely to die of SIDS in that position. So the back is truly the best place. Now, again, right now I am going to copy This is a great website. It really, really is. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to put it in the chat box so that if anybody wants it, they can have it. So it's there in the chat box. Okay, so I'm going to stop sharing. We want to open it up now and see if anybody has any comments or questions for us.
I don't really have a question, but goodness, like times have changed. When my children were small, it was, back to sleep and, or yeah, maybe, no, that's
On the
how it is
belly.
now, but it was on the belly. It was,
Mhm.
we put them on the belly and maybe like rolled up a receiving blanket and tucked it under their back or whatever. But so much great information.
Oh, I agree. I mean, I am going to be a grandparent in the near future, and I have 3 grown children, and I must say that I had bumper guards in the
Yeah.
big crib, and my babies were on their tummies. Um, and then um, I wanted to mention about the bumper guards real quick is that recently the state of Ohio banned them, a law against selling those bumper guards because that's how
Wow.
safe they are. But unfortunately, people could still get them like online or something like that. But just as car seats have been updated and other sleeping devices have been updated, um, they've found that the bumpers are unsafe. So that's just one example.
Now we have a question from Cruz. How do you know when the baby is getting too hot while sleeping? I think I think most of us we all think the babies are going to get cold. And I think we always tend to want to overdress. One thing you can do when you take a new baby home and dress them how you think, and then take their temperature. You know what? And see under the arm.
Just under the arm, you could take their temperature and know that way. When babies get too hot, that also it increases their respiratory rate, and they really have no way of trying to get their temperature down. So it's up to us to make sure. But I do feel as though I mean, it is summertime. The undershirt and the wearable sleep blanket, the sleep sack is plenty. However, in the winter, when it is colder and it's more drafty in the house, maybe then a onesie with a little sleeper that has the feet and stuff in it, and then go ahead and put the sleep sack on. But the main thing is to place the baby on their back.
You demonstrate a non-sleep sack swaddle.
Oh, of course. I can if I can just have one moment.
Yes, we'll get one. But also too, if you don't have a sleep sack, they really do kind of recommend just, using just just a little outfit, just a little sleeper. But so we almost try to get away with not trying just like really the blanket swaddle. But if they're really, really fussy, Tina can kind of demonstrate it. She's going to get a blanket here right now. Okay, so here, I'll let you sit here. Well,
I'll come back.
You can come back here.
So if you hold that up then, and that is actually a really good question to have because unfortunately not everyone can afford.
Yeah. But I was mentioning though that I think just a little sleep, just their little outfit is probably best.
Yes.
So you don't have to necessarily
Really
swaddle, but
right. And I think it's just those things like what we used to do. It's more habit than anything than necessary, I would say. But I have just a little receiving blanket here, and if you can see, I make a triangle there at the top. having worked in the NICU for many years, this was a craft that we all learned. I placed the baby at the top of the triangle and put their hands together, just like I did with the sleep sack. And then I pulled one corner over. I tried to get the hands in and tuck the side under, and then bring my bottom up. And I do the same with this side, making it nice and tight there as well. So now we just have a receiving blanket with the baby that is swaddled. I hope that's helpful.
Okay. I have another question here. Okay. Can you also okay. If a baby were to fall asleep in your arms, is it best to lay them down on their back in a crib, or is continuing to hold the baby okay?
This is a tough question, I kind of think, because we do want to cuddle our babies. We do. However, I think in the beginning, it's best for them to be, once they are asleep, and to place them in their bed. Repeated habits and having a routine is key in the initial parts of having your new baby home. So I think it's personal preference.
Yeah, and you can continue to hold your baby, and if it's but if you're feeling sleepy, then by all means, then you don't want to.
But I think holding them is it used to be said that you could spoil a baby, but yeah, I don't think that's possible. What we're trying to do is care for them in the safest possible way.
Yeah. When can you start to add a blanket for sleep as they get older?
Well, the recommendations for the sleep sacks and the wearable sleep blankets are to use them until your baby starts to roll over. So once your baby starts to roll over and is more mobile and becomes stronger and has more control.
But then you use the sleep sacks that have the
arms
arms that are not in there.
Yes, you can use the sleep sacks that just you don't swaddle them anymore, because they're probably going to fight it. They want that freedom. But I would say it would be, in my opinion, that
Well, I don't think the blanket though till they're a year old,
Right,
because that's
right.
what they're showing. That
Yeah.
I mean, most of these crib deaths happen in the first 4 months of life, but there's still babies that die up through 1 year. So I would wait till they're
Yes, I agree that just have a warmer sleeper on them, that they either the sleep sack or just the pajama kind. But I do want to mention that not too long ago, a church member was just completely distraught and told me about her daughter who takes care of little ones full time. Pretty local here, and they have a little one that was about 4 years old, and thankfully the friend's daughter was not babysitting at the time, and that the baby was with the parents. But unfortunately, this baby was found non-responsive in their crib, and I do recall that there were unsafe things in the baby's bed, and this 4-month-old died. And
Yeah.
I was just, you think it happens to somebody else. You think it happens to people we don't know. And just the devastation on this person's face, and thinking of that poor family losing this precious child. It's really real. It really happens. And I said my passion comes from actually seeing it and being a part of it, and then knowing that it could have been prevented. Those kind of things just stay with you when you actually experience that type of devastation. So I hope that answers the question about the blankets. Recommendation is not until after a year, but just put them in a sleep sack that has no sleeves, or a sleeper that is warm. I know, but not too warm.